The first time it happened, it wasn't fireworks or romance. It was red wine pouring across a starched white shirt, dripping down $1,000 suit, and me standing there frozen, tray in hand, thinking, well, this is it. I just lost my job. My name's Juan Rachel Carter. And that night, I was pulling a double shift at Fong, the Monarch Room. The kind of restaurant where a single bottle of wine costs more than my monthly rent. I'd been serving there for 6 years, taking orders from men in shiny suits while my back ached and my hands smelled like bleach. My mom was at home fighting cancer, my little sister was trying to get through college, and I was just trying to keep the lights on. Table 7 needs their Bordeaux, and for God's sake, don't screw it up, the manager snapped, waving me off like I was nothing. I wanted to snap back, tell him I'd been doing this job longer than he'd been barking orders, but I bit my tongue. Rent doesn't pay itself. I carried the tray, 4 delicate glasses, and 1 ancient bottle of Bordeaux balanced in my hands. The table was full of loud men bragging about some deal they'd just closed, but the man at the corner, he was different. Silent, still posture like a steel rod. I was setting the glasses when one of the others threw his arm out mid-joke and bam, hit my elbow. Time slowed. The tray tilted, and I watched in horror as that deep red wave splashed right across the quiet man's chest. The whole room went dead silent. You could have heard a pin drop. My heart slammed against my ribs. And then the man stood up, tall, broad shoulders, dark hair touched with gray at the temples. His face was carved from stone, but his eyes, sharp gray and locked onto me, made my knees weak. I knew that face. Everybody did. Ethan Blackwell. Billionaire. Real estate tycoon. The kind of man who fired executives for showing up with wrinkled suits. And I had just baptized him in Bordeaux. I'm so sorry, I stammered, napkins shaking in my hand. The manager nearly tripped over himself trying to apologize on my behalf. Mr. Blackwell, she'll be dealt with immediately, I assure you. But Ethan didn't look at him. He kept staring at me, unreadable. My instinct was to shrink, to take the blame, to beg for my job. But something in me snapped. It was an accident, I said louder than I meant to. Your buddy knocked my arm. The manager's eyes nearly burned a hole through me, but Ethan's mouth curved just slightly. Accidents happen, he said. His voice was low calm, like it carried weight. He tossed a few hundred onto the table, told the men dinner was on him, and walked out, wine-stained shirt and all. 20 minutes later, I was out too. Fired, paycheck in hand. Standing at a bus stop in the cold, wondering how to explain to my mom that we might not make rent this month. The next morning, the doorbell rang. A delivery guy handed me a white box with a silver ribbon. Inside, a dress. Midnight blue, soft as water between my fingers, and a card. Dinner. Tonight at 8. Driver will pick you up at 7:30. Ethan Blackwell. I told myself I wouldn't go, that men like him don't send dresses without expecting something in return. But as I circled dead-end job listings in the paper, all I could think of were those steel gray eyes and that almost smile. By 6, I gave in. Dinner was at the top floor of his tower, floor-to-ceiling, glass-spilling city lights beneath us. He was smooth, ordering in French, but when I pushed him, why me? Why now? He didn't flinch. Because you stood your ground when no one else would. You didn't see a billionaire. You saw a man who made a mistake. That doesn't happen often in my world. I wanted to scoff, but I felt something shift inside me. And then I found myself talking about my mom's diagnosis, about working doubles to pay for textbooks, about the dream I'd buried years ago, owning my own little cafe. And he listened. Not the polite nodding I was used to. He listened. A week later, he showed up outside my apartment in jeans that probably cost a fortune and said, "I have a job for you. My foundation needs an event coordinator." I crossed my arms. "I don't need your charity." He stepped closer, his voice steady. "Not charity. You're smart, organized, unshaken by wealth. I need that. But if you say no, I'll leave you alone." I took the card, hands trembling. Against my better judgment, I showed up. Walking into Blackwell Industries was like stepping onto another planet. Marble floors, tailored suits, whispers that followed me like shadows. And then there was Victoria Lane, the sleek blonde marketing director. She looked me up and down like I'd crawled in from the alley. Later, she cornered me in the hall, lips curling. "Listen, sweetheart, Ethan gets fascinated with projects like you. He'll get bored. He always does." I held my ground. "I'm here to work Ms. Lane. Nothing more." But her words burrowed under my skin. Weeks went by. I worked late, determined to prove I belonged. Ethan was away most days, but when he appeared, he'd lean in my doorway, eyes soft, voice lower, just for me. And one night when I asked why he'd hired me, he said, "Because you notice people, their needs, their silences. I noticed you before the wine spill, Rachel." That just gave me an excuse. My cheeks burned. My heart skipped. And then my phone rang. My sister. Mom collapsed. We're at the hospital. The doctor said the cancer had spread. They needed a new treatment experimental not covered by insurance. $80,000. The number hollowed me out. I walked outside, pressed against the wall, shaking. My phone buzzed. "Ethan. Call me if you need anything." I didn't. I couldn't. Pride's a stubborn thing. 2 days later, the headlines announced the Blackwell Foundation's $5 million initiative for experimental cancer treatment. My mother qualified. My heart twisted. Gratitude, humiliation, confusion, all tangled. I stormed into his office. "Did you do this because of me?" He leaned back, calm. "I'd been planning a medical initiative. Your mother's case helped me decide where to start." "That feels like pity." He stood, came around the desk, his voice low. "No, it feels like caring. Is that really so hard to accept?" His hand brushed mine, and, for the first time in years, I wanted to lean on someone. But I pulled away. Too dangerous. When the charity gala arrived, I'd planned every detail. I wore a simple black dress, determined to stay invisible. But Victoria slithered over in red silk. "Julian and I dated once, you know. He always comes back." Before I could answer, Ethan appeared. "Selena has done an exceptional job." He offered me his hand. "Dance with me." "People will talk," I whispered. "Let them." On the dance floor, his hand steady at my waist, I almost believed we could exist in the same world. Almost. Until I caught Victoria watching us, phone pressed to her ear, eyes burning. The fallout came fast. An envelope landed on my desk, photos of Ethan with other women, a note. "Once a player, always a player." Victoria strolled in behind it, voice dripping poison. "Did you really think you were special? He saves women. Then he gets bored." I wanted to throw the photos in her face. But when Ethan took me to dinner, I couldn't hide the doubt. "She says this is a pattern." He sighed. "I've dated. Yes. But never as a game. Victoria's the one obsessed, not me. What we have is real." I wanted to believe him. God, I did. But my walls were high. Then came the night at the hospital when my mom crashed again. I broke whispering, What happens when you get tired of me? What happens to her treatments then? He caught my hand's eyes fierce. Rachel, look at me. I love you. This isn't about charity or pity. I love you. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't answer. But deep down, I knew. It took my mother frail in her hospital bed to say the words I couldn't. Love is always a risk, sweetheart. But some risks are worth it. From there, the tide shifted. Ethan didn't hide me. He brought me to meetings, introduced me as his coordinator, and more. The whispers burned, Victoria lashed out, but he never wavered. And when he proposed quietly in my tiny apartment with a ring that wasn't about the diamond, but about the promise, I said yes. Months later, I stood in a white dress while my mom, healthier than she'd been in years, walked me down the aisle. Ethan's eyes locked on mine, filled with something no amount of money could buy. But let me tell you, life's not a fairy tale. Even now, whispers follow me. Some say I trapped him. Some say I'll never belong in his world. And maybe that's true. But when I see him sitting in the corner of my little cafe, coffee in hand, grinning like he's home, I know this story's ours, not theirs. And that's the thing, isn't it? Sometimes love starts with spilled wine, sometimes with a fight, sometimes with a mistake that changes everything. So here's my question for you. Do you think people from two different worlds can ever truly meet in the middle? Or will society always try to tear them apart? Tell me down below. I want to hear your stories.